How's it going, everyone? I'm Adam Molina. So if you don't know Focal, they're a French audio company that's been dabbling in high-end equipment for the better part of 30 years. It's not uncommon to walk into a studio or a high-end listening setup and see their logo on one of the loudspeakers or monitors. Now, we recently took a look at their Spark in-ears and we're pretty impressed, but the headphones that everyone seems to want to get their hands on are the $4,000 Utopia reference headphones. Okay, so first off, this box is gorgeous. Now, I know you're gonna say you don't pay $4,000 for a box, but seriously, it doesn't hurt. The unboxing experience is second to none. There's even some foam along the inside of the lid that gives you a hint as to where these belong, in the studio. Along with the headphones, you'll get some paperwork and instructions, but that's it. No fancy accessories or carrying cases here because after all, who's really gonna take these with them on the commute to work? Now there's a lot to get through in terms of build and most of it's good, but these aren't perfect. The headband is made of carbon fiber, which is a really strong and lightweight material that keeps the headphones themselves lighter than they would be if they were made of some other kind of metal. But the trade-off is that there is a good amount of squeaking that goes on when you move these around. That said, it's only an issue when you're not wearing them, because once these are on your head, they conform perfectly to it, and you never hear any of the squeaks at all. Speaking of fit, I had a hard time getting these to stay on if I moved my head at all. Not that they would go flying off, I don't know how many people are going to be shaking their heads like a wet dog while wearing these, but just something as benign as looking down caused them to slide off a little easily considering how much it would cost to fix them if they fell and broke. I would have definitely liked to see a bit more of a clamp on the head to prevent this from happening. On the bright side, these are insanely comfortable to wear. The headband and the ear pads have matching soft memory foam and lambskin leather, which make these feel like they're just floating on your head. As long as they don't fall off, you can keep these on for the longest of listening sessions and never feel like you have to let your ears breathe. At one point, I wore these for a solid 5 hours straight while working, and they were just as comfortable by the end of the session as they were when I first put them on. The ear cups themselves look like something from the past and the future at the same time. They're open back, so if you hold them up to the light, you can see right through the mesh to the other side, save for the actual beryllium drivers you'll find suspended right in the middle. So the other thing we need to talk about is this ridiculously high quality cable. Now, I mean that in both a good and a bad way, because this is a very high quality cable, and it's also ridiculously long, at about 10 feet. Now okay, I get that these are intended for high-end listening sessions or studio use, and in the studio you might need some extra slack when you're moving around. But considering A, how easily these slip off the head when moving around, and B, how expensive they are, I can't think of any reasonable person who wouldn't first take these off and set them down very carefully before moving around too much. You plug the cables into the bottom of each ear cup via Limo connectors, which snap in nicely and stay secured during use. The other end of the super long cable ends in a 1/4-inch Nutric jack, which means that unless you're plugging these into professional equipment, you're going to need an adapter. The cable does have an impedance of 80 ohms, which is something to take note of. So you don't need an amp with these. Music played just fine by plugging them into my MacBook Pro. But if you want to reach a decent listening level without needing to max out the volume on your source device, an amp will definitely help. And now for the reason these headphones are so sought after: the sound quality. The reason I could put up with them falling off my head every time I look down, or a really long and heavy cable, or the squeakiness when you move them around, it's because everything you've heard about the Utopia headphones is true. These sound incredible. The soundstage is pretty good, and it makes songs sound like you're sitting in the middle of them rather than in the room where they're being played, which is kind of weird but definitely impressive. The low end is there, but I wouldn't say strong is the word. They have a nice presence that lets the bass guitar in On Melancholy Hill by the Gorillaz show off without muddying anything up. Vocals come through beautifully as well, but what really stole the show for me was the amount of detail that you'll hear in songs that you thought you knew. It's sometimes hard to stay away from using cliches when describing audio, but these really do reveal a new layer of sound of songs that I've heard literally 1,000 times. When listening to Bon Iver's Restacks, it's almost like I'm sitting next to him and I can see his fingers hammering down on the strings at the 1 minute and 55-second mark. The headphones also do a great job with the highs, giving guitar slides, squeaks, and creaks enough character to tickle the back of your neck without ever becoming harsh or annoying. Listening to these were just a great experience. So now for the $4,000 question. Should you buy these headphones? Of course not. You'd probably be better off getting a car or taking your family to a trip to Europe. That said, are they worth $4,000? Absolutely. If you do happen to have $4,000 just collecting dust in your bank account and you love audio, then you might as well just get these right now. But make no mistake about it, it is a grail item, in the same way that an expensive watch is. So if you have to choose between a low-end Rolex that you can pass down to your kids or the Utopia headphones that you can listen to and enjoy, I would get the headphones. Be selfish, you deserve it. But for the rest of us, it's good to know that headphones like these just exist. Where something like the Sennheiser Orpheus headphones, which cost $55,000, are exclusively for the rich and or famous, these are a little more obtainable at $4 grand. Don't get me wrong, $4,000 is still a lot of money. These are definitely a luxury item, but it's a luxury item that you can probably afford if you save your money eventually, even if they do fall off your head every time you look down. We're giving the Utopias a 9.5 out of 10. And that pretty much does it for our review of the Utopias. Thanks for watching. If you want to know more about these headphones or any of the other products we review, make sure to check out SoundGuys.com. But while you're here, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you'll be the first to know every time we upload a video. I'm Adam Molina. See you later.